So then he says, let's get to verse 18 now. He says, come now and let us reason together. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall be as wool. So let's understand when he says, come let us reason together, it's a one-sided conversation. Don't think this is like a husband and wife saying, come on, let's reason together. No. He's saying to you, you need to be reasonable, because I'm being very reasonable and I'm the creator. I'm allowing you to have an opportunity to fix things. I'm being patient, compassionate, merciful, generous. He says, come let's reason together. He says, though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall be as wool. He says, now, there's a key here. In the next verse, he says, this is if you obey, if you submit. If you submit and obey, you shall eat of the good land. If. The key is, he didn't just say, come now, let's reason together, and then it's all going to be wonderful. No, let's reason together where you become reasonable. Because right now, you do a lot of things that are unreasonable. There's no rhyme or reason, as we might say, for you to be doing what you're doing, except that it's selfish, self-focused, me, I, emotion-driven. He says, but if you submit and obey, you shall eat of the good land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured by the sword, for the mouth of Yahweh is spoken. So when he says, come, let us reason together, he says, come, let's have a conversation so I can explain to you the reality of life. Like a father coming to a son or a daughter saying, let's have a conversation. Come, let's reason together. Some of you think that reason together means you get a say. Not in this case. You don't get a say. This is him saying, we need to have a talk. If you obey, all this great stuff happens. If you don't, you're in trouble. If you rebel, if you don't submit, you're going to be killed. You're going to be devoured by the sword. He's saying, I just wanted you to make sure you understood. This is like when you take your teenager and walk them to the front door and say, by the way, see that? You don't have to be here. You're here because especially if they're over 18, right? Because I am letting you stay here. But because I love you, I'd like you to stay here. I don't necessarily want you out of here. I like that I have you, I love you, I want you in my house. But if you can't behave appropriately, like if you can't obey and submit in my house, there's a door right there. And outside that door, you will suffer. Because as a parent, you realize at that point, they are not ready for that. If they were, where would they be? They'd have been gone already, right? If they were ready, they'd have been gone already. Or if they were just too foolish, I'll be trying to figure out a gentle enough word. They're just too foolish to know that they weren't ready. They may go anyway just because they want to just say, because they're trying to be opposition, defiant, and just in your face and say, I'll show them. Meanwhile, all you're doing is showing them that you're stupid, that you're not ready. But this is what we do to our Creator. We think, I figured this out enough. I'm smart now. Really? I would be careful with that. I mean, here's Isaiah talking to Israel. They've been doing this a long time at this point as a nation, and he's telling them, you guys don't know what you're doing. And so they've been doing it a lot longer than you guys out there would think, well, I've been doing this a long time. Well, how long? 3 years? Well, compared to some people, that's a long time, but I would say that that's not a long time. I'm not comparing anything. I just don't see how 3 years, when you talk about a lifetime of stuff, is a very long time to be doing anything. If you've been doing this more time in your life than not doing it, now we're getting to a place where that might be a long time. 10, 15 years plus may be a long time. Now, let me say this. If when I'm teaching you, you're learning more in a few weeks with me than you learned in a few years someplace else, then maybe we don't count all of those years as a long time. All right? Because most of that time, if it took you 5 years to learn what I teach you in one teaching, then let's not count that as 5 years. Let's count it as 1 week. I'm just trying to get you to do a better math.